I still remember when I moved to Shanghai for 6 months with barely any Chinese. Every time I tried to order a bubble tea, it was like preparing for a major event. My friends would write down the entire conversation for me, what I was supposed to say, how to respond, just so I could get my tea. And let's not even talk about food. I cannot count how many times I've said, no spicy, please, only to be met with a smile, a nod, and then a plate of something incredibly spicy. In those moments, all I could think was, why didn't I put more effort into learning Chinese before coming here? It's those little struggles that make you realize how much easier and more enjoyable things could be with just a bit more preparation. And honestly, that's why I'm so passionate about helping my students avoid those same frustrations with Spanish. I'm Lucia, Spanish teacher, translator, and polyglot. And today I'm here to share with you how you can learn Spanish from scratch with just 5 key points. I've also packed this video with free resources throughout. So, if you're ready, vamos a empezar. Let's start. When you're starting to learn Spanish, having a clear goal makes all the difference. Trust me, I've seen it time and time again with my students. Without a goal, it's easy to feel lost or overwhelmed, like you've forgotten your purpose and motivation. And before you know it, you're bored, unmotivated, and thinking, "Hmm, bueno, I'm sure they speak English over there anyway." But when you focus on something specific, everything becomes so much more manageable and honestly more exciting. For example, one of my students, John from the UK, started lessons with me because he wanted to speak Spanish at a big family dinner. And spoiler alert, his sister in law was super impressed with his Spanish. But the thing is that he was motivated to impress his family and friends throughout his whole language journey. The key is to find your goal. What connects you to the language? Are you traveling? Do you have Spanish speaking family or friends? Do you need to pass a test? Or do you need to impress your suegra, your mother in law? Whatever it is, just set your goal. Right now, I'm learning Indonesian because at the end of January, I'm moving to Indonesia. So my goals are pretty simple: connect with locals, order food confidently, talk about my day, and make friends. These are small, clear goals that keep me motivated and give me direction. So, what do you want to achieve? If you don't have a clear idea and you're thinking, well, it's the new year, everyone seems to be able to speak Spanish, I may as well learn it. Stop right there. Without a real connection to why you're learning, it's easy to lose momentum because learning a language is a journey. At first, it's exciting, it's like an adventure, but without a plan, you will find yourself stuck and eventually giving up. So take a moment and think, why do I want to learn Spanish? Whatever reason you have, you need to know your goals to keep you on track because you're going to be able to see and celebrate your progress. What is your first goal going to be? Let me know in the comments. I would love to hear about it. When you're starting to learn Spanish, one of the best things you can do is focus on the core vocabulary. The 100 to 200 most common words that make up a huge chunk of everyday conversations. You might be thinking, vale, Lucia, but what words should I be focused on first? Start with verbs. Verbs are the action words in any language, and they usually carry a lot of meaning. For example, learn basic ones like yo quiero, I want, yo puedo, I can. I say start with the first conjugation because in Spanish, verbs change depending on the subjects. You know, all of this about the conjugations like quiero, quieres, quiere, and so on. And yes, some verbs are irregulars. So it's important to get comfortable talking about yourself first and then move on other conjugations. The great thing about verbs is that they pop up constantly in conversations. So once you learn them, you'll start hearing and understanding them everywhere. I have a great video for beginners about the most essential Spanish verbs that you need. I'll leave it around here and in the description below. Anyway, now ask yourself, when am I going to be using Spanish? What kind of situations do you expect to find yourself in? And what vocabulary do you think you'll need? This is connected to the goals that we have. If you want to be able to speak Spanish at your cousin's wedding, then you'll need to learn how to greet people, how to tell someone, "Oh, you're looking gorgeous, I love your dress." You will want to say how tasty the food is, and all of that. See, we need to connect our previous goals with what we're going to learn. Instead of just memorizing random words, group them into themes. For example, learn all the family related words at once, like madre, padre, hermano, hermana, and so on. And because I know this is a hard task, I've created a free resource for you to learn vocabulary, a vocabulary builder that covers over 1,000 words in Spanish and English. It's organized into themes, including the most useful verbs and adjectives to help you learn more efficiently. You can download it for free in the description below. I would love to hear your thoughts if it works well for you. Another method that really helped me when I was learning English was grouping words based on themes or opposites. For example, you can compare fácil, easy, with difícil, difficult, or related words like comer, to eat, comedor, dining room, or even words like tenedor, fork, cuchara, spoon. The key here is that grouping words like this help your brain make connections. So when you hear one word, the others come to mind naturally, and you will make it easier to remember and recall them when you need them. When you're learning Spanish, it's important to focus on pronunciation early on because the more you practice, the more confident you will feel speaking. The goal isn't to sound exactly like a native speaker, it's about being clear and understandable. The better your pronunciation, the easier it will be to recognize words when you hear them, and the more natural your conversations will feel. So, as we all know, Spanish has a ton of different accents depending on the region. We could say that the two biggest groups are Castilian Spanish, Spanish from Spain, and Latin American Spanish, spoken across Latin America. However, even within these groups, there are infinite regional variations. For example, just like in English, people from different areas speak in unique ways. Think about it. People from New York, Colorado, Texas all speak English differently. And within England, people from Liverpool, London, or Scotland have their own distinct ways of speaking. The same happens in Spanish. People from Mexico, Argentina, Cuba, Colombia, and Spain, we all have our own different accents, words, and expressions. Even in Spain, we don't speak the same in the north and in the south. But let me remind you that this is normal and it happens across all languages. So don't worry too much about which Spanish dialect or accent you're going to learn. Just learn. Whether you decide to learn Spanish from Spain or Latin America, you will be understood by Spanish speakers around the world. Each region has its own flavor, but the core of the language remains the same. So, how can you start practicing pronunciation? A great way to practice pronunciation is to read aloud. I know it sounds easy, but it's really effective, trust me. Because reading out loud helps your mouth get used to the sounds and rhythm of the language. You can also practice by mimicking the pronunciation you hear from native speakers. Listen to a Spanish podcast, songs, or videos and try to repeat what you hear as closely as possible. I know that Spanish speakers are famous for speaking pretty fast, but you'll get there and understand native speakers in time. For now, when learning new words or phrases in Spanish, it's important to take things slow and focus on each syllable. Breaking down words into smaller parts not only helps with your pronunciation, but it also helps with your brain processing the sounds more easily. Spanish, unlike English, has a fairly consistent pronunciation system. So once you understand how each syllable sounds, it's much easier to put the word together correctly. Slow down, focus on precision, and then gradually speed up. It's a simple but effective strategy for mastering Spanish pronunciation and making sure that what you say is easily understood. Grammar is definitely important, but you don't need to obsess over it. Grammar is just one part of the process. When you are starting from scratch, it's better to take things step by step. So don't worry about trying to learn everything at once. If you are completely new to Spanish, then start by learning the subject pronouns yo, tú, él, ella, and so on. These are essential because they help you identify who is doing what. From there, I will move on to possessive pronouns like mi, mío, tú, tuyo, so you can talk about possessions. Next, I will focus on the present tense. You will be using it every single day to talk about what is happening now. So, getting comfortable with it is key. And to be fair, at the start of your journey, this is pretty much everything that you need: subject pronouns, possessives, and the present tense. With these basics, you can already express a lot. The beauty of this approach is that it allows you to start communicating right away. You don't need to wait until you have mastered every rule in the book. The important thing is to start, because language learning is all about progress, not perfection. And I'm sure that you have had this millions of times. Making Spanish part of your daily life from day one is the easiest way to speed up your learning. Language isn't just something to study, it's something to live and experience. The more you surround yourself with it, the more natural it will feel. Now, I'm not saying that you need to change the language on your phone or start labeling everything in your house, but you do need to be consistent. Just 30 minutes a day makes a difference. You can learn 5 words, 5 new words every day, chat with a Spanish speaking friend, or find someone online to practice with. There are already so many apps that make it easier to practice too. Try listening to Spanish songs during your commute, or record yourself speaking and then listen back whilst you're doing something like the dishes. The key is to connect your Spanish practice to activities that you already do, so it doesn't feel like extra work. For example, instead of scrolling through social media during your morning coffee, you can watch one of my videos, listen to a podcast, or catch a part of a show that you have already seen but in Spanish. And if you love scrolling, then follow some Spanish speaking influencers so their videos show up in your feed. The point is that you do not need a full hour every single day to get better or to start learning Spanish. What matters is linking Spanish to the moments that already make up your daily routine. It's all about making it a natural part of your day. So, where do you begin with learning Spanish? It's all about taking small, consistent steps that fit into your life. Start with a clear goal that excites you, whether it's preparing for a trip, connecting with Spanish speaking friends or family, or just enjoying Spanish TV shows. Knowing why you're learning will keep you motivated and on track. Focus on the core vocabulary you will use the most, especially verbs, and group them by themes to make them easier to remember. And when it comes to pronunciation, start practicing early because trust me, it will make a world of difference in how confident and natural you sound. But the real secret? Making Spanish part of your daily routine. Just 30 minutes a day can work wonders. Listen to Spanish songs, chat with a friend, or watch a show in Spanish whilst you are doing other things. The key is to be in contact with the language in your everyday life. And remember, language learning is a journey, not a race. You don't need to be perfect. Just get started and stay consistent. With every little step, you are getting closer to speaking Spanish confidently. Now, I would love to hear from you. What's your first goal in Spanish? Drop a comment below and let's talk about it. Make sure that you download the free vocabulary builder and the free grammar guidebook. You will find them in the description below. If you like this video, don't forget to subscribe, give it a like, and maybe share it with that friend that is also starting to learn Spanish. Thank you so much for watching and supporting. Nos vemos en el próximo video. Hasta luego, aventureros!